Oh, what's happening? Kyle Postleway, aka Malkir here at Big Kitty Games. Cats are going nuts as usual. Sun is out. Looks to be a nice warm day. What's the temperature supposed to be? 15? No? I don't know why that says Tuesday. There we go, Wednesday. 20? Nice. I'll take it. That's, I don't even know in Fahrenheit anymore. 20 C and F. 68 degrees. There you go. Nice and warm. I'm kind of on the fence about what to work on today. There's two things that I'm kind of in the middle of. I think we'll go ahead and start with a sip of coffee. And I think we'll get into what I started last week. It's still in the works. Where we are trying to get resource rarity spawns predetermined on an outside system outside of the location-based spawning, meaning that we'll be able to access that data not from some sort of a saved data file as it is right now, but that'll just be predetermined runtime accessible data that anyone can request and always get an immediate answer to. The reason for that being, the way that resource scanners work on the map, they draw that big circle, but they don't actually scan areas unless you've been to them before, because it needs to load that area in, generate the items in there, the resource nodes and all that inside of that, and that's when it rolls for rarity and all of that. So it kind of defeats the purpose of the scanning thing. You have to still actually go out there and get it, or get up next to it, and the map in general is just kind of slow because of that and some things. So anyway, this is where we get terrain data, and this is what I'm working on here. So get predetermined locations. Now, encounters have always been predetermined, so this is kind of similar to that. This gets determined when the terrain gets created for the first time. It rolls for some type of encounter based on the world seed and the XZ value of the terrain, and then it rolls for its location using those variables as well. So we're just kind of expanding on that in sort of a new system to get the things that we need to be able to understand without actually going there, which are not just the encounters, and this isn't the monoliths, not the small encounters. The big encounters like caves, dungeons, etc., town resources, and then rare resources. Now there's some real problems with this, because all of this stuff encounters aren't really, but town resources and rare resources are biome specific. So we have to be able to access biome data in its entirety, but that is runtime accessible data as well. That's what the procedural areas would do, is just grab the biome data or ask the noise manager to generate it for them. So that's something that we can do. So basically, I need to gather the terrain. I can zoom that up a little bit. Gather terrain biome data, because we're going to be doing this in 1024 chunks. I'm then going to use that data to roll 4 nodes. It's really all it is, but it's a complicated intertwined system. So even though it's just those 2 steps I wrote down here on paper, it's hard to keep track of everything in your head when there's all these different things talking to one another. So rather than giving every type of town resource a chance to spawn in any given 128 meter area, I'm giving each terrain a 20% chance of spawning something. And it's going to roll a random XZ location within that area, and then it's going to check that location against check temporary location against world encounter location. Current minimum distance is at 50 meters. This is in centimeters. So 100 would be 5, or 100 would be 1. So 500 would be 5 meters, so this is 50 meters. If it's too close, it's going to try and roll again. It's only going to ever actually make 10 attempts. It should find one immediately, if on the second try, if not the first. Then, assuming it found a place that's acceptable, we need to determine what the biome is at the location that we are looking at. So that's what I was in the middle of trying to correct. So what this does here, and yeah, I was in the middle of writing this whole thing here to get the top biome, but I think what I really need, not just for the town resources, but for the rare resources as well, excuse me, is the actual whole biome map. And I was kind of trying to avoid taking this just because it's a little bit of, it takes a quarter of a second to generate. And this can be threaded, will be threaded, so that's not a big deal. And this gives us our arrays, and then our positions, and then the vector 2 itself is the strength and the height. So I actually do want all of that data, so I'm going to go ahead and just pull all of that in here. Don't think I'm going to actually need this or this that I wrote up. It was a lot of just copy and pasting, honestly, so it's not a big deal. So I'm going to do a vector 2 jagged, let's see, what is this? 2-dimensional array, one of which is jagged. This is going to be the terrain biome map equals get terrain biome map. It wants a procedural terrain, and I think all that it's actually using of that is the X and the Z, XZ, XZ, XZ. Does use the world encounter. 大丈夫？ん？あ、なんか開けられない。隠れるの？これ？こう？大丈夫。これこういう、そうなの？本当だ。お湯？いや、お湯。 もう入ってないんじゃない？それか幼児さす？It is our 7th? 7th year, 7th first year anniversary, 7th year anniversary, I don't know. We're moving into our 8th year of marriage today. We got married April 7th, 2014. Not the wedding date. It's when we legally got married. I'm always confused which we're supposed to celebrate. But anyway. So now this get world encounter holder is actually going to be grabbing the terrain save file, not the procedural terrain. So I'm not actually going to be generating procedural terrain. We are going to feed, if it's not null, and we do want it to do this. But I can just feed this data in here now that we've generated it, I suppose. So let's go ahead and make one. Procedural terrain equals new procedural terrain. And the terrain x is going to equal our terrain x. I would actually like to, I did capitalize it. That looked lowercase for some reason to me. We want to do z as well, and then we're going to do procedural terrain, world encounter. This is a world encounter holder, right? So let's do equals new. Probably don't actually need to do that. Yeah, we do. No, yeah, we do. It's null. We're going to make a new one, and encounter type needs to equal, oh, well, no, we've got the whole world encounter holder here already, right? So we actually just need to feed that in there. Okay. World encounter holder. The lowercase w, that should be all the data that it needs. It's just checking the, make sure it's not null, it's got a type, and its position, which all of this will generate for us. Generate world encounter, like so. So that's fine and good. Feed that in there. So now we can feed this into here, and it wants a cancellation token. And that's fair assumption. So let's cancellation token. Let's require that to call this method. We'll pass it on to this guy. Hi, kitty. What are you doing? That will generate our biome map, and then we can use that down here. So we're attempting to generate a town resource. One thing we are going to need to do here is generate a list of used locations, which is something that I do here. Used locations. This is a public class, so that's fine. It's got a location and a size. Let's do that at the top. This is the actual stuff we're using. We want a list of procedural area, procedural locations called used locations. And yeah, we want to add one of these in too, which is going to be XYZ. Don't think I need a Y. Why is there a Y in there? Zero. There's some reason I left that in there though. Vector 2 distance checks. Check location 3D. All right, that's for fish. Okay, so we do use that. We're not going to actually be using it here though. We want to plug this stuff in here though. So this can just be 0 for the Y. And then our size, this is kind of the problem I got stuck on last time I was working with this. All of this stuff has a size on the procedural prefabs that we've set up based on how big they are, because not everything's the same size. But I don't want to access that data here, just because it's a pain in the butt. And we can make some rough assumptions here with this stuff. So let's go ahead and say the encounter is 50 meters. Big, we just don't want anything within 50 meters of it. And we're talking about 1024 squared here, so there's plenty of room. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that for that guy. Now, we're going to want a check system here. Doesn't look like I'm actually going to use these guys, so I'm just going to comment them out for now. Don't think anybody's calling them, nope. But we're going to make a new one called, let's see, might want to be a bool, which means it will return true or false. And we're going to check for, we're going to check our location. So we're going to pass in a reference of our procedural area dot procedural location list, used locations, and we're going to check our local x and our int local z. I think that's all we need. We might do a different one for biome. We might add it in here because we're going to want to do a position and a biome check. First thing first, the location check is going to be, there's not necessarily a reason to do this in another method, I don't think, now that I'm thinking about it, but we'll build it, see, we can just copy and paste it up there if we want to. But we're going to be using it down here too, so yeah, we'll probably want to just have this in a single location. So check locations, for int I equals 0, I equals less than our used locations count, I++, and we're going to, actually I already got this, we're doing right here, find a location, get a random location, that just gives the random vector. Where do we actually check it? Check. Check proximity, check location. I actually got this wrong once, so let's just copy that down here. The distance is going to be, we only need xz, right? I'm not going to be weighing against fish. Yeah, should be fine. So we want, I guess first thing is procedural area, procedural location, used location equals used locations at position I. And we're going to do used location xz, and then the location that we're trying to check, which is actually local x and local z. These aren't in centimeters, right? Don't think. Maybe they are. World encounter certainly is. I think we just need to up that, because these are supposed to be in meters. And it's a vector 3, so they're floats. So yeah, let's do this divided by 100. So we get back to our meter scale, not centimeters, which this guy operates in. And then we will do, so yeah, meters, meters. Well, this guy's also centimeters. Let's check locations. We're going to be adding in our used locations list. I don't actually need to reference that. I'm going to need to change a little bit of that. This is actually, we're going to be replacing this. But anyway, I don't need to be referencing that. Doesn't matter. Use locations, and then we're going to pass in our local x, and this one too I'm going to divide by 100 before we pass it. Local z divided by 100f, and we were actually expecting an int there, so we'll change that to a float. And this is actually going to be right here. So if we pass the check, how about if we don't pass the check? We will try again. If we do, we'll move forward into here. So our distance, let's see. Yeah, that'll give us our distance, and then if our distance is less than our used location size, plus, we need a size here too, huh? Float size. Like that, then we will return false. Assuming we don't butt heads with any other used locations in our list at present, we will return true. So that is an okay position. Our size for our town resources is going to be 50 meters is a little extreme. 10 meters is probably fine. Let's go ahead and just go with 20 meters. I'll do 25 meters. That'll just give us some breathing room around our town resources. I don't know where my phone is. Not a big deal. So that has given us a location to check. Now we want to determine the biome to determine the resource type. Now that we've got our terrain biome map, which is an array of biomes and positions. I think I'm going to want to have kind of like this. Calculate the biome, but I'm going to be passing in the map, which is a vector 2 array, jagged array. terrain biome map. And we're going to be using the X and Z. I don't like it when it auto formats like that. Let's just copy this back up to before it doing that. So basically, strength and height is the vector 2. So I want to go 4 int I equals 0, I equals less than terrain biome map dot length. For dimension 1, I think, yeah, I probably should specify that. I++. So we're going to go through all the biomes. Let's go ahead and get a variable ready. We'll call top biome. Starts out as null. And we're going to go through all the different biomes. We're going to look at, let's see, we need a float. Top strength equals 0. And let's say if terrain biome map at position I at location local X, local Z. And let's see, we're going to need to change this a little bit. So right now I'm feeding in centimeters. And I actually want to be using 4 meters. So divided by 400. Maybe I should be doing that. Let's do local X divide equals 100 F. Here, so I'm actually not going to do it up here. And likewise down here, I'm going to go local X, local Z, and here we're actually going to do 400. That's because a terrain is 124 meters squared, but the height map, which the biome map is also the same dimensions, only actually has a point every 4 meters. So it's a 256 by 256 map. We do want those as ints though, don't we? So not 400. Let's see, should I be rounding that manually? Yeah, let's go ahead and do math function round to int local X divided by 400 F. If I don't do this, I think it's going to floor the number, which means that 1.1 will turn into 1. Even 1.7 would turn into 1. I want 1.7 to turn into 2 kind of stuff. So I'm going to round it manually instead in this case to find the nearest point. And let's see, if the terrain maps X is greater than our current top strength, meaning the biome for this is going to be, the I here is going to be 1 through 5, go through all the different biomes, and look at their strength at any given point on the biome map. So, if the top strength is stronger here than 0, or whatever our current top strength is, Then we want to set our new top strength to match that. And we want our top biome to equal get biome enum out of our integer. And I want to make sure that I'm using this correctly. Who else uses that? Down here. No, somebody makes use of this, don't they? Who does that? Procedural terrain. Procedural area uses it when he's going through the biomap length. Yeah, so that's correct usage, just to be sure. So once we've gone through them all to figure them out, we're going to just return our top biome. So that'll give us whatever the maximum biome, or whatever the master biome is at this particular location. So if we do check, we do pass our location check, we want to move into a biome check for the town resources. So Solace Crafting biome equals calculate biome using the terrain biome map and our local x, local z. And then we want to get town resource marker type. I already built this. It's based on whatever biome we add into it. And I think I want to actually make sure an ocean doesn't get passed into that just yet. So let's do marker type. Marker type equals, what is it? Get town resource marker type based on the biome. Now, if found equals true, we got that. So this loop will end if we've made it this far, but we're only actually going to make use of the data if it's not null. If marker type does not equal null, in that case, we'll go ahead and use it. So we've got a local z, local x, and marker type. That's all we need, right? Okay, so now we've got our world encounter getting added to locations. So now we've got this getting added to locations as well. So we need to add use locations as well, which is going to use local x, this is in meters, right? For the map, pretty sure. Local x, local z, and this guy is only going to be 25 big. Okay, so that should give us a town resource. Now we're kind of going to do just the same thing here for rare resources, but this is where things get a little tricky. And I think in this case, I do actually need to make references to our basic resource procedural prefabs. Let's go ahead and compile this so I can mess with the editor. Because their spawn rates vary based on the biome. And we need to access that data. And I don't want to hard code it in. And this might actually be a good opportunity to start making use of the rest of this data. We'll think about that as we go to look at it here. Let's see. World encounters, prefabs, procedural prefabs. Stone, stock, ore, copper, silver. Excuse me. We should get gold in too. Maybe we should put gold underwater, huh? I need to finish my coffee. And there's small, medium, and large for ore. So really we just want to be grabbing anything that's part of these major resources. We kind of need a name for them. We actually already have the name basic resources being used. Hi, kitty. What are you doing? But these are accessed. Let's actually look at the manager itself. Prefab. Procedural watcher. We want the procedural prefabs. And we don't need... We do need... Well, we could make use of these. Don't need that. Trees... So anyway, these are called basic resources, but we actually need to separate those out a little bit, huh? Because we don't want to be cycling through these grass rocks. These should actually be... We need animals too. Not monsters either. Medium decorations. Yeah, this is where the these rocks should be actually. Let's go ahead and move those 1 through 5. Gonna move these over here. Get them out of here. I suppose I can just go 9, right? Yeah. So these are all the current major resources. Again, the name basic is a little misleading because we have a script called basic resource, but anyway. Ore, small, medium, large, stock, stone, silver, copper. We're also going to need the trees, and we're going to need to check to see if they are capable of going rare or not. That's actually on the prefab itself. Can be rare or not on all of the harvestable object scripts. Might need to access those as well. Just thinking of some performance shenanigans. Got a kitty on my wrist. Well, we certainly have access to the manager here that's got all of this on it. So let's start by grabbing that guy. He's going to be, let's see, player script controller client dot managers dot terrain manager dot, what are we looking for? Procedural watcher dot procedural prefabs. That's a mouthful. Let's go ahead and reference him once. So we have to go through all of that again. Procedural prefabs equals this guy. And all my buddies are playing Outriders. It was a good game. I played it for a bit. They're all level 10,000 by now. So I'm level 10 or something. Anyway, generate. So here we're grabbing the prefabs and we want to be cycling through, let's see, 4 int, let's call it, let's just do r equals 0. R equals less than procedural prefabs dot basic resources dot count. R plus plus. So we're going to cycle through all of those guys in there. And that's pretty much what this stuff is doing. It's going to get a list of procedural prefabs. It's going to go through that whole thing. I'm definitely going to need to change some of this, but kind of be doing the same thing. And then we're actually going to not be doing it over here anymore. So basic, again, I need to change that name, but the basic resources, base resources, maybe I can call them, will be used differently. So here we're going through all of the different types of resources in a loop. That's going to be giving us our procedural prefab. So this is going to be procedural prefabs dot basic resources at position R. We're going to go through all the spawn rates. In the old use case, we're actually going through the biomes and then looking for spawn rates equivalent to that biome. It's not the only way to do it. That's what I'm thinking about. We could go through the resources, go through their own spawn lists, and then check a location and a biome like we've done up here. As we try to find, yeah, I think that works a little better. So we're going to go through, we've got a reference to one we've grabbed. Let's see, we got one too many of these. We're going to go through all of the spawn rates. We're not going to check the biome specifically. What we're going to... So we do want to... Let's see, those spawn rates are area based. So the way that the procedural prefabs are currently set up, these guys, for example, if we look at stocks, they've got a spawn rate, and this is for in grass. There's a spawn rate of 1, which means that every 128 meters there should be 1 stock. Now we're working with 1024 meter terrains, so we could just multiply that by what? 8 times 8, 64. So there should be 64 stocks per terrain. And we're actually only trying to roll to find rare ones. Interesting. So we are going to still be doing it here. We're just going to be telling everything that spawns via the area that it can't go rare. Or we do still want spawning more prolifically. I'm not sure the word I wanted there. More abundantly in the mountains. And that's per point we need to check to tell what biome we're in. I mean, this is working well. So I suppose I should stick to this since it's not broken. Let's see. We didn't actually really write anything there. So our biome map is actually our terrain biome map. And let's just go ahead and make sure we're doing get length 0. So this is the amount of biomes we've got. This ended up breaking things. I didn't add this to the patch notes yesterday, but no big deal. We fixed that. Spawning biome. Noise manager, get biome enum. We're on the noise manager right now, so we can just do this. We grabbed a reference to the procedural prefabs, so we can just do that. But we don't want to do this in this case. Let's make a new, I want to do not get biome prefabs. Or do I? Biome prefab list. This is something I pre-build, isn't it? Yeah. Goes through them all, looks to see if they exist in the biome. I don't want to grab everything though, I just want to grab get biome base resources. How do we want to do that? We want to just grab a list. We're going to do per biome, huh? I would like to pre-generate that so we're not generating it per step though. So let's say we do something like get biome, we're going to call them base resources. Base resource prefabs. And this guy will be the same, set up biome base resource prefabs. The list of prefabs that we throw in there is always just going to be the basic resource list. Set up So we're going to be doing the same thing here. Biome base resource prefab lists. So we're going to be doing the same thing here, huh? Not for floating islands or swamp. We do want all of this though, huh? This is just a one-time generation that's going to go off when the game first loads. And we're only going to be doing this guy. So we don't actually need this second method since we're only doing one. Biome. This is gonna just be you, and you. And the list is the same, so we can just do this like that. And then this is, oops, did I name this one wrong? I named this guy instead accidentally. Get biome prefabs. That's you. And then this guy is biome base resource prefab lists. So we are going to add all of the biomes in there. Okay. We are going through all of the biomes, not those guys. Good. Get. I didn't make one of these yet. Get biome base resource prefabs. If biome base resource there we go. So now we'll just be grabbing the base resources for this biome. So we won't be getting any stocks in the ocean, for example. Now, sometimes I get a premonition someone is typing a question to me on Steam. Feel the need to check. Or sometimes it's Discord, but I don't know. So we've grabbed, so we're within a biome that we're checking. We've grabbed a base resource prefab. We're checking the spawn rates. Making sure that we're looking at the right biome here. We are using world settings if the players change that at all. Now, what we need to do here though is multiply this a lot. So spawn rate times equals 64, right? Right, so we're doing 120 meters is what the initial spawn rate is on the prefabs. but we're actually looking at terrains now, not areas. So we want 8 by 8, so that's 64. So it should be 64 stalks per terrain. Right? Yeah. 128. Yeah, that's right. I'm bad at math. Spawn rate times equals 64. That is a float. So let's go ahead and give it an F. And then we're going to go through and try to spawn that many. So this prepare spawn is now going to need to be a little bit different, because we're not actually doing that. We just want to check. We want to determine a location, check a location, basically all of this. And if the remainder does not equal 0, yeah, we can go ahead and let that. Basic resources. This is just like if it ends up being 64.2, it'll roll to see if that 0.2 should actually spawn or not. I don't think that's going to be necessary for rare resources, though. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that out for right now. And we're actually going to get rid of this as well. So I'm just, let's go ahead, yeah, we'll leave that like that. But more or less, this is what's going on. We're now we're inside a specific biome. We've grabbed a specific resource. We're going to check to make sure that we're not butting up against anything else. I think the counter here, we actually want to have everybody make use of that. So this goes up over time. We're not going to make a second new one at 0. That way we can keep these numbers going. We're going to make a maximum of 10 attempts to find a position. These guys only need a meter of breathing space. Or should we give them more? What do we got? Stocks, stones, and ore. Should be fine with a meter. Radius. Let's add some notes here too. Generate rare resources. Let's see. Go through each biome. Go through each resource. And then here we are, try to find a suitable location. Plus biome. So we actually didn't check height up here either. Let's do that real quick. We don't want to be spawning spider nests underwater. So I get really distracted by my wife making noise behind me. I need to like blare loud music or something. But then you wouldn't be able to hear me. So that doesn't work. Just lost my train of thought there is all. I need to check height as well. So we're calculating the biome. I guess we'll just add another step down here. I was trying to think if we could add it up here. If check locations, used locations, that's just going to give us the distance check. If that fails, or can we do like a check height? I think I should write a little method for that. Calculate biome, check locations. I'm not actually feeding in. Yeah, I'm going to hold off on height for the town resources for just a second. I should probably be making use of the actual procedural prefabs for these guys as well. Let's just leave a little note somewhere here and do something like, should also check for height. Slash should probably use procedural prefabs to determine that. And I'm adding this because we're probably going to be adding ocean stuff at some point. I guess it's probably safe for town. Yeah, let's just see. Let's see, what do we got? Terrain biome map. We really just want to do 4 int I equals 0, I equals less than, equals less than terrain biome map dot get length 0 I plus plus if I, what do we got? Local x divided by 400. I actually did round to int 400. And then this is z. And we're now looking at the y, right? This is a vector 2. So the x is strength and the y is height. Didn't actually write that down anywhere in here, but it is, which we can see up here, strength and height. So height, if the y is less than 80, let's say 5, why am I going through all the biomes? Okay, so I think we should do this here, no? And we don't need a loop. And we've already got a biome, so we want to do get biome int based on the enum that we've got. So we're going backwards here. Biome. So if we've passed our location check, we're going to grab the biome. We're then going to check the height of that position for that biome. And if it's less than 805, this is not actually how that goes. I think it's, let me double check how those y values are generated. Chunk, biomap, terrain, biomap, height, height. I forget if it's if it's in meters, it's actually 0 to 4,000. I think that it is. Actually, procedural area might be easier to read with that. Prepare spawn. Yeah. Get height. Straight up passes the height. So I think it is 0 to 4,000 being generated directly. Pretty sure. So we can go ahead and just go straight to that. So anyway, we've got the biome. We're checking the height. If the terrain biome map height is less than 805, we're going to counter plus plus because that is not a usable location. Otherwise, we can continue. So here we're checking the height. And that's fine for town resources. But we are going to want to, for these guys, the rare resources, we're going to need to check that a little bit differently. Kind of going a little crazy, like I said, this is a little bit difficult, maybe you can tell. So many different things to keep track of at once. It's eats up your brain power pretty quick. Let me just double check this. We've passed our chance to spawn a town resource. We're making 10 possible checks. We're getting a random location. We're checking that location. We're checking the height. Calculate biome. That's always going to give us something. Let's go ahead and put this to ocean instead of null. I mean, there's no way that that's going to just be left as ocean, but just to be safe, because if that came back as null, and then we tried to check a null here, it would throw an error, because there's no null biome in the biome map. Just to be, triple safe there. Checking the height. If the height passes, in other words, it's above sea level for our town resources, we can move forward. Okay. So now going back to rare resources, we're going through one biome at a time, going through one resource at a time, upping the spawn rate to be suitable for the terrain size. Now we're trying to find a location. So basically the same thing here now, except we're going to need to be a little bit more complicated here. So check location, good. Determine the biome. We don't need that here, do we? We're actually using the spawn rates based on the biomes. We don't need that. We do need to check the height though. Honestly, this could just be an else if. Well, no, I guess that one didn't want to, but this one could be probably. Else if, right? Not doing this either. We're going to need a get marker type for the resource, huh? Haven't set that up yet, but let's see. Checking location. We already know we're in a we're attempting to. We do need to still check against the biome. This is just trying to find the main biome to determine what type of town resource we should have. What we want to do for resources is make sure that the position we're looking at is considered a part of this biome that we're currently moving through, or attempting to check. So that will give us this though, huh? So if this needs to be part of our let's see, else if, what if we do else if calculate biome does not equal get biome. It's pissed off because I need to close this bracket or the whole script breaks. Else if, why are you still upset? Somebody not closed somewhere? Okay, they're fixed. So get biome enum based on our current B. So if the biome at the top biome at this location we're attempting to check is not the biome that we're currently trying to populate, then we have to move on. Else if, and in this case we can make like this. No? Counter plus plus. Right, need one here. There we go. There's one more here we're missing still? Okay. What do you not like? Alright, don't need that. So if the top biome at this position does not equal the biome we're looking for, keep moving. Grab a new XZ. Otherwise, go ahead and check the height. Let's just say check location, check biome, check height. Because this is different for stocks and stones and all of that. So else if, and this is just B, terrain biome map for this current position. And in this case, we've actually got our procedural prefab. No, actually we're looking at a specific rate here. So if the rate equals biome, blah, 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 equals less than total. So if it's 0, none of this is even going to start. We want though here, let's see, float. No, we just want to have this guy here actually. Spawn rate, procedural biome spawn rate equals null. And let's go ahead and none of them have 2, so we can go ahead and set procedural biome spawn rate equals rate, like that. So now we've got a reference to the one we're talking about, and we're going to make use of that right here. Procedural biome spawn rate dot minimum height. And it's upset about our brackets again. We got one too many. So, checking the locations, checking the biome, checking the height. And I think this is actually gonna want to be an else. Let's go ahead and move that down and say that our float height equals this. And then we're gonna do, scared me, if height equals less than this, or height equals greater than our procedural biome spawn rate maximum height, because we've also got that. Then we can move on. And this actually comes here now. Cats just lounging around, knocking stuff over with their butts. Hey. So we've passed our location check, we've passed our biome check, we've passed our min-max height check. In this case, we have found a good location. So we now need to get a marker type, which is not a town resource marker type. We need, well, and this is actually a little premature. We've got one more thing we need to do. Get resource marker type. And we're going to be feeding into this a, let's see. We're going to have to feed two variables into here, aren't we? Item database item resource and int rarity. Now we need to be determining our rarity here as well. Currently, this happens, I believe it's under harvesting data. Generate rarity, resource, tier. It uses the numbers for rolling its rarity numbers, you know, the noise math here, get chance. So we're just going to be checking for rare spawns, huh? So the question is, we're going to be doing the same thing on procedural areas when we want to spawn non-rare resources, right? We don't want non-rare resources to be spawning in the same locations. I think we'll tackle that when we get there. For now, I'm just going to do, let's see. Say I found a location. This is kind of the base spawn chances we've got here, right? So say we've only got a 10% chance, that's less than that. That's 0.1% chance for a legendary to spawn. It might be easier on the math if we could somehow predetermine per these totals. So say, generally we're going to be looking at 64 rolls per terrain, unless you've changed the settings. And before we get into any of this check stuff, we could just say, make a roll on the harvesting data, make one of these rolls, not actually based on the position, just based on the terrain XZ and the counter, which is always changing. Where's our counter? Counter plus plus stuff here. We could do that right here per attempt. And then in this case, only if we actually roll common, or what is it, uncommon or better, do we then even bother to try and find a location. The benefit of that would be that, what do we got, 5, 6, say we've got about, 6.3% chance for something to be rare, means that there's about 93 point whatever chance for something to not be rare. And in those cases, we don't actually care about them for this logic. So there's a 93% chance this is all going to be wasted processing power. Even though it's threaded, it is still nice to just not do stuff that you don't need to. So maybe rather than basing it on location, we switch to having it determine what rarity it is prior to any of the other checks. I think that actually is a lot smarter, since we're not bound kind of in the same way as we were before. So let's try that out. Try to find a suitable location plus biome. Prior to that, let's do So this whole thing is based off of these inputs here. So we don't want to be using this anymore. Let's see if I can just rewrite this a little bit different. Let's say generate so we don't have a position anymore, and we're not going to be underground in these cases. So get rid of all of this. We're not going to be using any of that. Right. There's no gems above ground. Timber is going to be another kind of problem on its own here in a minute. Make sure nothing is overpowering. And then, let's see, so we want to feed, I guess we do still want terrain X, terrain Z, and we want the counter. So now we're going to be using terrain X, terrain Z, and counter. Times 100. Like so. So this will generate general rarity. General. That is under harvesting data. Let's do int rarity equals harvesting data dot generate general rarity. What are we rolling here? That's another problem. The procedural prefabs don't necessarily know what resource they are. They do have the spawn multiplier here though. pp.spawn rate game setting. We can convert that to a resource if we want to. I guess that's the best way to go about it. Generate general rarity, let's see. Just add a little helper method down here. This is going to be what? It's going to be item database dot item get resource from setting, and we're going to add a game settings dot setting, and we're going to do a switch setting case spawn multiplier. So what do we got? Or I like to go in order. Let's do return stock. We've got timber or what is it? Leather. So this is animal spawn. This is ore spawn. This is timber spawn. Spawn multiplier. What's it called? Tree spawn multiplier. Alright. And stone spawn multiplier. So this is going to be hide or timber and stone. Let's go ahead and just add a default, and we'll say debug log warning. Let's say incorrect setting fed to get. Let's do a noise manager dot get resource from setting. We shouldn't ever expect anything to be coming in here, but if it does, we'll throw a warning, print out what was given to us, and return null. Should never happen, but just in case it does. In these cases too, I like to add counter type so we know what it was that was fed incorrectly to us. Like so. What's going on here? Oh yeah, we didn't finish that yet. We'll get there in a minute. So now we are going to pass the resource. Let's see, get resource from setting. This is our pp dot spawn rate game setting. Our tier. Don't have our tier generated yet. Let's see. That's actually a bit location based, isn't it? We're just rolling for rarity though. It's not that big of a deal if we've got a few 100 meters off. Let's just go ahead and say tier equals get level by location. I suppose that works. Let's do new vector 3. This is going to be terrain x times 1024. 0 terrain Z times 1024. And then we want to math function, no, actually it's just divide by 5. Oops, what did I do there? And who's mad at what? Float to int, I thought so. Dividing by 5. Get level by world location. Let's just do a round. Math function round to int user, and then we will divide that by 5f, and actually we want to floor that. Math function floor to int. So we don't need a round here actually. And this parentheses goes right here. So that'll give us our tier more or less. So we can pass that into our resource rarity role. Tier, terrain X, terrain Z, and counter. That is up to you, Stopnut. I would use Unity. Game Maker Studio is much more limited, but if it has all of the capabilities for what you want to do, you know, if you're not making a very complicated 2D game, it's an absolutely viable option. But it's definitely not as powerful as Unity. So it kind of depends on A, what you're more comfortable with, and B, how big your goals are. If rarity is less than 1, can I do continue here? I can. I would prefer to do that. What would I, if I put continue here though, it would go to the while loop, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay. Well, we'll do this here. So if rarity is less than 1, we're just going to do, let's see, counter plus plus and continue. Yeah, I think that works fine. Generate general rarity. This is get chance, which is white noise, right? Yeah, so try to find a suitable location. So yeah, now if we failed our rarity check, we're just going to throw it out the window. And we can expand on that a little bit more later if we need to, which we might, to make this more usable by procedural area, so we don't have to write a second method for it. But we'll see, we'll see. We could store the zeros in a different list, and then feed back both of those, and then have the map only make use of the rares, where the procedural area makes use of both, kind of thing like that. But we'll get there when we get there. Handle it when we get there. So we're rolling for rarity. We've checked location, biome, and height. So now we want to get our marker type. This is get resource marker type. We want to add in the resource. Didn't we check that? That's what, yes, we needed rarity for that. So now we need get resource from setting. I guess we're doing that twice, so we should probably store that somewhere. Go through each biome, go through each resource. Let's do... Item database items resource equals get resource from setting the PP. I think this one. Where is PP? Yeah, he's there. That's fine, right? Yeah. Don't want this stuff to get out of order, but that's fine. So here we're just going to say resource. And likewise down here we're going to say resource and rarity. Now this method we haven't written yet. Let's see. We want to do a switch resource, which is going to be, for example, stock. And if it is stock, we're going to want to do another switch for rarity. Unfortunate but true case. I'll go ahead and add 0 just for now, just because it's easy. We can do return marker type dot stock. Oh yeah, there is no, that's not a marker type. So this is going to be uncommon switch rarity case 1. 2, 3, 4. This is uncommon, rarity, elite, and legendary. This is 2, 3, 4. And we'll go ahead and add a default. No, we don't need a default there. We'll just let everything fall through and break if it doesn't find what it's looking for. So we're going to have stock, hide, ore, timber, and stone. Hide, ore, timber, and stone. And let's see. Like this. I think this is actually just ore. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Should be good. And I'm actually not even going to add this in there. It's just if we are finished doing all of that, but we're still here. We're going to say unknown marker type. Let's see. Unknown resource. Let's see. How about bad resource or rarity provided in noise manager dot get resource marker type. And then we will add our resource and we will add our rarity in case that goes off, which it shouldn't. So now we are getting our resource marker type for the resource and the rarity. We're able to add it to this location. And we can add that as a now used location. This only needs a size of 1. Okay, so now this should be able to generate a full set of data. So let's give it a try. I'm not going to plug it in yet. I'm just going to make it roll and give it a check. Let's see. How about I make a console command for it? Or what? I'll probably just actually... Yeah, I'll make a console command for it. Just to test it out. So let's go somewhere like here. Whoops, don't look at these. Let's do else if submission dot starts with what do we want to say? test map data, whatever, doesn't matter. So if I plug that into the console, I'm going to go player script, controller, client manager, terrain manager, procedural watcher, noise manager, dot get predetermined locations. Let's just go ahead and say 50-50. And I'll go ahead and do new cancellation token. Doesn't matter yet. This is going to be a list of map markers. That's a mouthful. And then I'm going to go to for int I equals 0, I equals less than map marker.count. I think that's capital C. Map markers. What did I call it? Map markers. It should be, I think. And I++. So we're going to loop through everything that we get, and I'm just going to send out a debug log. Let's grab, yeah, it doesn't matter. Map marker at position I dot marker type. And then we'll do the X location followed by the Z location. All right, so I did 50-50, which means we're 50 kilometers out from the start here. So we should expect it to generate a terrain, 1 kilometer terrain's worth of there should be one encounter. There might be some town resources. There might be one town resource. And there should be a variety of rare resources. Of course, with my luck, 50-50 is probably an ocean tile. And in that case, we're only going to get stone. Maybe some ore. I was looking at ore yesterday. Oh, and I clicked start client. Unfortunately, we want single player. Because ore is actually supposed to spawn in the ocean as well. And somewhere down the road, I messed that up. So actually, stone is the only thing that's spawning in the ocean right now. I'll have to re-plug that in. But what was our command there? Test map data. Okay, just go ahead and clear the console once. Do test map data. Unrecognized command. Did I not capitalize it? Test map data. There we go. You are trying to create a model behavior using the new keyword. Really? We got a tower. We didn't get any oh, is it procedural terrain? Noise manager 371. What did we do here? Are these model behaviors? They are. Whoops. Well, that's not going to work. Let's see. Ooh, my tissues ran out. Need a new box of tissues. I need a glass of water or something too. Maybe I'll get a cup of tea here in a minute. See, I think the hot water is empty too. So I can't make a new procedural terrain, and these are not necessarily activated, so I can't try to grab them like the procedural areas are doing. The only reason that I was actually doing this was to get the terrain biome map. Let's see. And again, the only reason that that's actually being used is the z and the x, right? zx. Don't do that. Just show me the variable. xz. It does look for the world encounter. But that's not a big deal. Returns the biomap. Okay, so let's just set up some different calls for this guy. So I want to have two versions now. One is going to be this guy. One is going to be the main one, in which we actually add, we call directly int terrain z. And world encounter holder. Like this. Need a comma here. So as long as we've got these three things coming in here, we should be good, right? Passing these specifically now. And let's see, world encounter holder dot, let's see, does not equal null, and world encounter holder dot encounter type does not equal null. Right, good. And last but not least, world encounter holder local x works, right? Good. So that's all the same data. So the stuff that's already calling this guy here, we can now just have him say directly return get terrain biomap terrain.terrainx terrain.terrainz procedural, yeah, terrain dot world encounter and cancellation token. So we don't have to change anything that's already using this. What is this called? I can't think of it. I don't know. You know, same named method, different inputs. So these are currently being used. This is the new one that we're going to use, so I don't have to generate a procedural terrain, which is right here. So we're not going to do this stuff. We've already got all of that. We're going to be passing in our terrain X, our terrain Z, our world encounter holder, and token. Do we already have a token? Okay, we do have a token going somewhere. List, yeah, we made a new one there. Okay, that should work better. Let's recompile and try that again. It did this, and then it didn't like any of that. So it did make it to here, but it was unable to use all of that. I'm kind of surprised it actually returned it all there. Would expect it to just error out there, but sleepy kitties. So let's see. What was it? Test map data? Map data test? Map data test? No, what was it? Hello. Console UI test map data. Still just a tower. Okay. So what's going on? Let's add some debugs in here. Noise manager. This guy's probably just failing, which is fine. Where are we? Down here. Town resource. Let's just do an else here. And we'll just say debug log. Town resource role failed, which is fine if it does. However, this we would definitely expect to be producing some results. So I could look through this one by one, or I can toss some debugs in, see what it's doing. Go through each resource, spawn, what do we do? Get biome base resource prefabs. Let's go ahead and do a debug log biome prefab. Biome prefabs dot count. Let's do b plus prefabs and biome, like that. And it's going to make a role for each. Or first it's going to generate the spawn rate. Right. Let's just do a debug log. Let's do resource plus spawn rate plus total. And let's go ahead and add get biome enum from our B here, and we'll do tstring for that. Ocean biome prefab count. So we'll be listing what biome we're dealing with, how many prefabs have been picked up for that biome, what their spawn rate is, and then I'll go ahead and start compiling that. This might be where we are failing. Check location, calculate biome. Let's go ahead and do one here too. Let's say debug log resource. Let's say I think I've got a global methods dot rarity to string, which is an int. So I'm going to just add rarity into there, plus, so we've got, we'll say uncommon something rolled, just so we know that something was actually found. And if we get to this point, that means that one of these three is having a problem. And I can tune these down too, actually, now that I think about it, but we'll get there. I've got a 10-meter buffer around the edges of terrains, which is important for some stuff. This should actually be bigger than that, since we're doing, well, hold up. 10 meters, yeah, this should be 25 meters. 25, let's see, what's 1024, so this is going to be actually a 9, followed by a 9-0, I think. 990, because these are 1024 terrains. Game is loaded up. But then, let's see real quick, just for these guys. And the counter's changing, so I can use the same random numbers. But here we're going to want to go down to, let's say, a buffer of 1 meter. So these can actually go up to 23. Because again, these are in centimeters. Anyway, let's see. Clear the console. Test map data. There we go. Whole bunch of stuff. But we are still getting a final result of only a tower. So we're getting uncommon ore, uncommon stone, uncommon stock. So stuff is happening. So that's good. The problem is something down here. So we don't need you to print that out every time. Let's see now. X, Z, and then counter. So that should change every time. Calculate biome. Does not equal get biome. I don't really want the console to spam perpetually. I'd rather have these be like some total numbers. So let's do height check failed equals 0. Let's do a biome check failed. And what is this guy? Height check, location. Let's do location check failed. Like this. And so if this happens, let's do location check failed plus plus. Biome check failed plus plus. And here we will do height fail plus plus. And then at the end of all of that, actually this is within this bracket here. No, yeah, he's in the whole thing, so we should be fine. So I'm going to do debug.log location fails plus, and we'll do biome fails plus, and what? Height fails. So that'll give us a total amount of how many of those were failed, and it's probably only one of them is doing everything, but got a message from our sound guys. Man, we haven't kept in contact well at all. But I'm kinda short on cash, to be honest. I'd love to throw more money at those guys, but gotta have money to throw money. But we'll get back to here in a bit, Mr. Dooley. As soon as I get off air. I better not close that or I'll forget about it. I better write it down, because I'm totally going to forget about that. Message from Dooley. Anyway. Alright. Whoops. Wrong F1. Test map data. What do we got? We were getting uncommon rolls, weren't we? What's going on here? Are we not adding properly? Locations, add, new map marker, get resource map marker. That's not giving us any problems. Our console is trying to debug everything in there. I equals 0 less than map markers dot count 50/50. What's going on here? Let's say uncommons equals 0. Oops. Rares, elites, legendaries. 2, 3, 4. This is going to be rares, elites, legendaries. Uncommons. Rares. Elites. And legendaries. Make sure that those are rolling like we thought they were. It looked like we got a bunch of uncommons. So assuming we have, well, how would this, what else would stop this? Locations is the big one. If we pass everything, else if biome check failed, counter else, float height check failed, counter else. I guess we could have a marker type fail. Sure wouldn't expect that though. Something weird's going on, but c'est la vie. Meow. You can just see Yume's ears sticking up there. Test map data. What do we got? Yeah, we got 902 uncommons. No rares? Really? That's a little weird. No location, biome, or height fails, though. We are getting a bunch of uncommons, but we're only getting a tower added to our list. So I'm going to have to just go ahead and assume that this is not working properly here. Get resource marker type. But this is never going off here. So we should be getting one of these back, no matter what. And if it's not null, go ahead and add it. But it seems like it's not. Uncommons are firing. If rarity equals less than 1, meaning it's 0, we'll add another counter and move on. Resource, tier, X, Z, and counter. How come count? Did I not add counter there? I did. Get chance. X, Y, Z. Counter doesn't seem to be... Or just that that's weird that we're not getting any rares out at 50. Should definitely be getting more rares than that. Did we get a tier report? I didn't add anywhere, did I? Town resource roll failed. That's fine. Stone is all that's spawning in the ocean. Let's double check our tier here somewhere. Which we generate pretty early on here. Let's just go ahead and say tier plus like this. Should be no way that this guy is null, but that's weirding me out. So I'm just going to go ahead and say else debug log null marker type. Found equals true. Oh, and counter equals less than 10. That's our problem. Okay. We need a separate counter for this guy. There we go. So, let's see. Using that for the counter up here is fine. When we get down to here, though, we need... Let's see. Yeah, it's fine up here. We need a separate counter for this guy, though. Int resource counter equals 0, while resource counter is less than 10. Resource counter plus plus. So this needs to be just specific to this while loop here, while the other counter wants to be specific to, scoped via this whole method, because that's what gets used for all the rarity rolls. So we want that to be ever increasing. 1, 2, 3, that should keep us good while resource counter is less than 10. So counter is going to be going up. We only actually need this for right here. Should be good, should be good. Okay, that was our problem. That should sort everything out, I believe. One more check. And we will be ready to... Let's see, we're going to want to try and plug this into the map. Test map data. We got 2 uncommon ores, even though only 6 fired this time. Tier 14, biome fails. that's fair. Only 6 uncommons, though. Biome fails 40. Hmm. And did we print out what biome we're in? We didn't. We only got 2 uncommon ores, though. That's a little weird, like I say. Biome fails is fine. That's to be expected. Didn't have to re-roll any locations. That's pretty much expected too, because terrain's big. Height fails 0. That means we're probably above water for that whole thing. But I would honestly expect a lot more than that. Like, we should be getting some stocks, uncommon and whatnot, you know? Uncommon 6. Wasn't this like 64 earlier? Or like a lot more than that? Yeah, get biome prefab count. That's fine. That's not really what I was looking for. I'm looking for more. What was the top biome that we were gonna get here from some of these? So is what I was kind of more interested in. 2 uncommons, not enough. Out at tier 15. It's weird. We would definitely expect a lot more than that. Well, it's working anyway. It might need some tweaking, though. I think there's some funny business going on. So, but let's try and start plugging this into the map. I'm going to go ahead and push this into version control once, just because things are working. In case I need to switch back here to where I'm at right now due to catastrophic changes for some reason or another. Let's say predetermined locations working 95%. So I can commit that and come back to this point if I ever need to. And I'm going to sneeze and I'm out of tissue and I need to add some water to my hot water pot. I'll just be AFK 2 minutes here. Gotta stay hydrated. My wife's really bad about eating breakfast, so I bought her these. They're little brownies packed full of vitamins and stuff. I tried to get her to eat. She won't eat them. They're like, taste like chocolate to me. I don't know. They're not delicious, but you know, they're health food. They're full of iron and calcium and all of that. So I've been eating them now because she won't eat them. So we're more or less we're working. Let's see if we can't interrupt the map here a bit. We're gonna have to spend at least a few hours upgrading the map, improving the map. It's doing some silly stuff right now. Let's see. Lots of possible markers. Destroy the markers. Generate the new markers. Get markers. Map manager, get markers. So I'm actually going to override this for the moment. Let's see here. How do we do this? List map marker markers equals player script control client managers dot terrain manager dot noise. No, what is it? Procedural watcher noise manager dot get predetermined locations, and we need a token. Don't have a token yet. World X, World Z. I'll just say new token. Like so. Why is that wanting to go down one? Is this not formatted properly? I guess it's not. All right. So I'm just going to try this out for the moment. And let's see. Terrain textures, we're only actually turning on if we have a texture. We're not going to want to be doing that anymore. We could just generate the map. With or without the player having visited it. Again, there's some things that we wouldn't yet know about, and that would be an easy check. System can just say, do you already have a terrain save file for this chunk that I want to look at? And if you don't, I'll just go ahead and use this predetermined stuff, predeterminable stuff. But, yeah, I can't quite turn that off right just yet. I'm going to try this for the moment real quick once, though. Just see if we can't generate some resource map markers based on this new system. And in our test, we were only getting, we only had 2 ore, which there should be more than that. So, you know, there should be stock and timber and all of that. I'm not doing trees yet, actually. Let's see what we get. Come on. Well, I hit M. I think it's trying to do all 20 tiles at once right now. And there's some big debugs included in that. Yeah, I can see some of them started to print out there already. 436. This is going to take a minute, unfortunately. There we go. Uncommon 7s, uncommons 49. Oh, we better pause. It's redrawn a bunch of them. Hey! そこで働くん? And I paused it. Did it really pause? Okay, yeah. It was spamming the console there. Those debugs take up quite a bit of resources. It's not a ton of them though. Uncommons, uncommons, uncommons. At this level, I would expect that. And that's fine. Anyway, I'm going to turn those off for now. I need to make this asynchronous. Town resource failed. That's fine. I kind of actually want to know when the town resource is successful, to be honest. But it should show up on its own. So anyway, turn those debugs off for the moment, and let's go back to map. I want to turn some of this stuff on. I guess not quite yet. I kind of want to make this whole thing asynchronous, but I can't, can I? I don't think so. Public async void. And then there's no await operator in there, which is fine. I don't want to be awaiting inside of it, but there's certain things you can't do inside of asynchronous methods, like spawn new objects. Yeah, so here I'm destroying and some things. So let's see. I need to time what it is that is causing the most lag as far as the map is concerned. I don't believe it's this method, but let's go ahead and see. So I'm going to do float timer equals time dot real time since startup. We're going to ask it to grab that, and then I'm going to debug log timer minus time dot real time. So this will give me the time it took to do this. I want to do that in a number of locations eventually, but let's just, well, let's see here. We're going to do a redraw all, so here we go. Yeah, let's do float. Let's start it here. Float timer equals time dot real time since startup. And then, let's see, we'll go ahead and go through all of this shenanigans first, and then we'll debug log, let's just say 1, and we'll do timer minus time dot real time. Startup, and that needs to be in parentheses with a plus before it, like so. And after that, we're going to do timer equals time dot real time to reset it. And now we can add this wherever we want to. So for example, we're going to be going through every tile to update here. I think I'm going to leave this alone, be its own thing here. Float that there. I'm going to just move this. No, that's fine where it is. I want to go after this for each loop here and do number 2. And after this one, we're going to do number 3. I want to find out where the main performance gaps are. And this isn't really going to tell us much just yet. We're going to have to, I mean, I know, I'm pretty sure I know where it is. And that is going to be within this bit here and within this stuff here. So we're going to have to get inside of those eventually, but be good to get an initial sort of count on what's going on. Let's see, I want to click pause as soon as I hit M, and I think it's actually preloading a bit of the map, which is why this has taken so long to load. No. Had like 400 debugs as soon as it started up here last time. There we go, 175. So yeah, it's already loading these guys up. Oh, and I put the timers backwards. That's fine. Same result, honestly. Just giving me negative. It should be you know, those should be reversed, but whatever. So it costs 0.2 seconds per grab for that method. So we definitely want that to be asynchronous. We did get an unknown marker type. Or 2 or 3 maybe. Yeah. Well, we'll look at that in due time as well. Let's see what we get first though. Number 1, it doesn't take any time at all. Okay. Then we go through all of those loops, and number 2 took 31 seconds. A lot of which is going to be this stuff. So pretty much just number 2. So that's what we were looking to confirm, honestly. But it doesn't actually look well, and so if it's already sort of pre-generated the map, how come we don't have some icons already showing up here? Let's see, stock, images, I forget where they get stored, resources, cave, cave, tower, tower, cave, cave. There's no way there's that many caves. I'm going to hit M, and it's going to freak out. I'm going to pause it. It's going to take another 31 seconds. Definitely some stuff we'll want to improve. So we can churn this stuff off, honestly. This was all very fast. It's just this loop here. To take that, move it down to just where it starts out here. And let's say tiles to update loop. It's our 32 seconds there, and we're not gonna actually measure the rest of this because it's all super fast. We are 100% going to need to improve this stuff, though. Let's see, did it finish? It did. Don't have anything drawn. You can kind of see over here, I got a bunch of caves and towers. It's a little weird. Their positions are pretty far out. I think I'm getting my positions wrong. Shouldn't get up to 6,000 like that. Let's take a peek at the old method. Was this guy? Get markers. Was he dividing them at all? Map markers. Just straight up grabbing them, huh? So I'm pretty sure we're just feeding these numbers in a little wrong. I'm putting them directly in there as centimeters, and that's not what we want, I think. Let me see. Map manager is what was generating them up until now. We have, for example, add depth marker. So we're going to get a world position in centimeters. Well, that's a depth marker, though. They're a little special, maybe. Yeah, this is going 0 to, looks like meters. Local X, local Z. I'm adding them in centimeters up here, so we don't want to be doing that. Let's see. Locations, local X divided by 100F. I don't need an F, actually. This guy, too, he is in centimeters, correct? Yeah. And here as well, used locations, local X, local Z. Here he's doing local X, local Z. Yeah, that's supposed to be in meters as well, isn't it? And these can actually go down to floats. I'm gonna go ahead and leave these at, yeah, ints. And the rare resources as well. These are, again, centimeters, so we want this to be divided by 100 in all cases. Right. Check location. When we're adding the X and the Z, we were dividing it. That's fine and good. It's centimeters by default. Calculate biome is 400. That's good. 31 seconds. A little bit confused why that is so intense. Let's see. I wanted to do async void redraw all, and let's say this gets called from a number of places. Redraw all. Redraw all. That's all good and fine. Let's go ahead and make a variable called something like bool running equals false. And whenever we try to call redraw all, if running, we're going to just return. Otherwise, we're going to set running to true, and we're going to leave it that way until we are completely finished with everything. Running equals false. And what I'm going to do is add a little yield return null. I think that I can do that, right? What's this all about? Return, what is this? Yeah, return, let's see, I think yield break is actually what I want there. Public async task. Don't have system tasks turned on. Let's see. Using system threading tasks, I believe, is what we're looking for. No, what is it? I forget. Public async. I don't remember. I don't deal with this stuff very much. Oh, what's happening, Art? Haven't changed anything on the scanner yet. Shouldn't have affected performance. Is your performance running slower though? I did change some stuff, definitely. Really? Alright, I'm gonna have to run a test then. I changed a bunch of static batching down to material batching, because you can only do one or the other. And I didn't actually run a test to see which would be better. Just kind of went off of the manual's explanation that complex meshes are better when you do mesh batching. And I'm not really using complex meshes very much, so I went for material batching. Maybe that was a bad choice though. While that's loading, what was I going to look at here? Procedural watcher, async void is indeed what I'm looking to do. How come you're upset with me making this a void? Anyway, let's see here. So I'm going to make a little scene. I'm going to make a little cube. I'm going to give it some random material like this. I'm gonna go to that material and I'm going to set his standard. I'm gonna do GPU instancing on him. I'm gonna duplicate this guy. And I'm going to duplicate this guy too. I'm going to turn GPU instancing off on him and give him to this guy. So we'll call you QGPU and cube batch. By default, it'll wait for you to open up a window up to 10 minutes, I think. Otherwise, it is 300 seconds, which I believe is 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes has passed, if you open up a window, it'll try to save. If 10 minutes passes and you still haven't opened up a window, it'll go ahead and save anyway. And you can change that via the console. So this guy, I'm going to set up static. This guy, I'm also going to set up static, and he's going to give me a warning here, so I'm going to turn off batching static. So this guy is GPU batched, this guy is static batched. And now I'm going to write a little script to put 1,000 of these out and see which one is faster. So, I'm pretty sure I already have something like that called LOD test. No. Maybe I already deleted it. Or was that in Solace? Was that in the actual project? I don't think so. Shader test, there it is. No, you leave it alone. I'm just going to copy it into this little test project. Can go ahead and call it the same thing. Can switch between them with 1 and 2. I don't need to save. That's a bad habit. Good habit, but not necessary right now. And let's see, I want to be looking at all of these. Something like this. Move the camera to that position. Align with view. Okay. So we've got 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Now, 1 is our GPU batched 670 FPS. 2 is our static batch, and we're down to 33 FPS. So, it's interesting, yeah. GPU works a lot better. That's what I changed everything to not have the static batching, but the GPU batching. But you're getting worse performance. I'll have to take a look at some other things. We did improve the monster AI a little bit there with a little bit more complicated stuff in it, but You mean you had like motion blur going on when you were expecting it not to? Did like a bunch of your settings turn on for some reason? Maybe? That you would not expect to be on? Because there are motion blur video settings that are performance intensive. Shouldn't be anything forcing them on for you though. The video settings aren't tied to worlds. That should just be tied to your computer. That's weird that these are all at 0. Even though I don't use the motion blur myself, this should not be at 0. $50 and 4 are the default values. Oops. I need a reset button, don't I? And I like it at churned down. If I ever do use it, I don't tend to use it, but the more you churn this up, the more you get that blur effect going. And that definitely uses more performance. Some people like it a lot though. And it doesn't runs fine on my computer, honestly. I just like turn it down because I don't like the when it gets too extreme. I'm running fine though. Just trying to figure out what might have been affecting performance for you. It's definitely something I want to look into. 0.2, 0.2, 0.1, 0.25. These are the default values if they're turned on. Yeah. I did run into that bug yesterday when I went to create a new world. It set a bunch of these back to 0, but weird shadows all turned off and crosshair turned off. Well, that's not nice. If everybody's stuff all got reset to 0. Still, I just turned everything back up, and I usually play on less than this, but even here I'm running 30 FPS, steady and fine. Man, those speed trees are ugly. I need to find some new orange trees. Really don't like those speed trees. I want to make the spiders bigger too. I don't know if people are going to be mad at me for doing that though. I need to make a no spider, or an alternative to spiders, I guess. Kind of not sure what to tell you though, Art. Running fine for me. Will 100% keep an eye on everything though, you know. Someone was on the Steam forums today saying that, why is the game so slow? Today is what she said. You know, and I was like, what does that mean? Are you playing on beta? And then, like, because of the new patch. But this was actually 2 days ago, so I don't know. Game is running horribly today, she said, on the 5th. But I didn't change anything on the 5th or the 4th or the 3rd. So I'm not sure what that means. But, what is the default? Yeah, it's 512, right? You've got that turned up just once. You've got your terrain draw range up quite a bit too. It should be fine though. The detail draw range is definitely the most expensive. You've got that up 1, which is fine. I like to turn the terrain and the distant up a little bit more. Not too sure what you ran into. Anyway, it's honestly lunchtime, but let me see. Why is this yelling at me? Public async void Cannot be an iterator block because void is not an iterator interface type. The methods that I would break out of are more on the procedural area, procedural terrain bits, I believe. If cancellation token gets spotted as trying to cancel, return. And this is on a async task. Doesn't seem to like me doing that either, though. Awaitable. Usage await. I think there's just stuff in here that it's mad about. What if I cancel everything out? Yeah, then the error goes away. So there's just stuff in here that it doesn't like me doing. I don't think yield is the word that I was looking for. Cannot return a value from an iterator. Use the yield return statement to return a value or yield break to the iteration. Okay, I guess it is. I don't get into this threading stuff very often. Yeah, I wonder if it just, the settings got how they, yeah, I don't know. I'll keep an eye on it though. Thank you for always making me aware of stuff. Let's see. What else we're doing? Yield. Yeah, and this is not, I want to do await. Wait for update, I believe. Non-invocable can be used like this. There's destroy stuff going on here, which I can't do. As is. I'm fine with updating this code. It's just, I'm not too sure why this is still yelling at me. Can it be an iterator block because task is not an iterator interface type? but there's just something within it that it's mad about. So I get rid of all those, it stops complaining. But if I only get rid of these, oh, that's what's causing it, huh? If running yield break, is that not, is it incorrect? You can see I've even looked at some of these recently because this is difficult stuff when you're not well educated, which I am not. Public async task, await, return. I'm not trying to return anything. It's basically all I'm trying to do here. And this is yield break, enumerators, not using enumerator, observations, await, task, async task, return works fine, async void, let's close you down. Public async, I don't know why I'm not fine just doing a void here. So let's see. If I'm running, return, otherwise start running. Better put that down here, and there's no other returns within this, right? Good. So we're not going to break out of this until we get to the end of it, but we are going to make a pause here. Await new. I really just want to wait for null, but I think wait for update works. Anyway, let's try and run this once. So I fixed the map icon, map marker positioning, supposedly, and we should wait a frame between each of these iterations, which will hopefully cause it to not stop for the 32 seconds. Tiles to update is 20 by 20. And we run it at like 0.2. 20 times 20 is a lot though. Times 0.2. Yeah. I don't know where my wife went. She was supposed to be working right over there. I think I'm gonna head to lunch here in a minute. Would like to get a minor positive result here. Okay, see, it's already starting to call some of this stuff. Because it does call redraw all once when it first starts up. On enable recenter redraw, which is annoying. Oh no, that was hadn't cleared the previous load yet, I guess. $30 seconds though. Okay, well, didn't do it that time. Okay, so now it's doing it. So it is properly yielding each frame, but it's still not giving us any resources anywhere. Being a little silly. But yeah, 0.2 seconds per one of those is not acceptable. So let's dive a little deeper into that. See, well, we were actually timing this right here, huh? So this is the big one. Tiles to update loop. Yeah, and that's fine. We know what's going on there. But this is the real problem. But this is all just data. So we certainly don't mind threading this, but even then, it should not take that long in any way, shape, or form. So we can basically just do something like this. Wait, new, wait for background thread. This is a cool system that I installed. That lets you just swap in and out of threading. I'm not going to be able to do this stuff. Check distance, continue, instantiate. Yeah, you can't be instantiating stuff off thread like this, unfortunately. I don't like using for each loops either, and some things, but so this is going to be wait for update. And this is not terribly slow, I don't believe. I'm just going to switch this real quick here for int I equals 0, I equals less than markers dot count I plus plus, and then we're going to do, it's capital C, map marker equals markers at I, which is what these guys are all making use of. Good, good. I used to use for each a lot, and I don't like to anymore. It's slower, this and that. So is this tile? Let's see, what is it? int2 tile equals tiles to update at position, let's say t, even though we're not there yet. Then we're going to change this to int t equals 0, t equals less than tiles to update dot count t plus plus. Likewise, should speed that up a little bit. And we're now threading this section of the thing that is the slow part, but we definitely want to go in here and look and see what is actually the slow part. $20, it's this long bit right here, but let's go ahead and test. Float timer equals 0. Actually, time dot real time since startup, and we'll generate the town and do a debug dot log. Timer 1 plus time dot real time minus timer, and we want that in parentheses. And then we want to reset timer to be back to the real time at this point. We'll then, so we did encounter and town resources there. And then we're going to go through and give us a printout for this whole thing. Timer 2, even though we've got a pretty educated guess that this is the problem. But let's see. It's probably going to be... not sure. I would not expect it. And it might be this generator, this guy here. So it actually could be here. I wouldn't actually expect this to be taking too much time, to be honest. It's a little strange. So... that should be off thread now, meaning it's not going to make the game stutter, but it's still going to make the map take a while to load. So better, but not good. Should also have the map be loading around the player, not in that bottom to top zigzag that it's doing right now, which is not... I mean, that's logic I've programmed before. An exception. Get real time. Oh, really? Okay. I didn't think that that was the case. Well, let's, I guess we'll not do that then. Where was that? Map UI. Let's close you and close you. So we're not gonna go to the background thread actually. We're just gonna time. We don't actually need to time this either anymore. We're just gonna time inside of it. I'm kind of interested in this actually. Let me do Let's do a float timer 0 equals time.realtime. And I want to see how long a whole iteration of this takes. And since we're already timing this guy, which is just within inside of this, we can subtract that from whatever this result is to see what everything outside of that method is how long it's taking. Debug log, let's say what, map loop timer plus and time.realtime minus timer 0. Yeah, okay, let's run that once, see what we get. And that'll give me a good idea of what I want to focus on improving. Whether it's the biome map generation or whether it's I need to worry about the stuff outside of this at all or not. Get predetermined locations. So that's one question. Is this 99% of the problem, or is there stuff outside of this as well? And then inside of that, is this the main problem, or is this the main problem? So this should tell us both of those to see which I need to focus my efforts onto. Yeah, we can pause. Okay, so the map loop timer. Map loop timer. How come I'm not getting this just yet? Yo, 俺サンド食べる. Anyway, it looks like it is timer 1, so it is the... Yeah, and it's 90%, 99%, 999%. This guy right here, and that's understandable because it's... I better go to lunch. Wife's freaking out in the kitchen. And I'm really hungry. And this is difficult stuff. It might be time to tackle this. Might be. This is my fancy biome system that I built that nobody likes. You know, the idea was that in the future, maybe there's a way to to mod biomes, which is fine and well. Can certainly do that. But the way that this system works is every 8-kilometer chunk, it determines a biome for that chunk. Meaning there could be thousands of biomes. They could be procedural biomes. You know, and that's cool and it sounds nice, but how are you going to make procedural biomes? You're going to make procedural stones, you're going to make procedural trees, you're going to make procedural color maps for all of the terrain textures. You know, it's a very complicated topic. Croc champs still pushing, huh? I was pretty sure that their melee range was not high enough. We'll definitely have to. I'll try and measure that, and actually look at how big they are, because they've got a much bigger reach than some of that stuff. But anyway, this whole chunk biome generation system relies on all of the possible chunks around it. So it has to generate their data, it has to weigh all the data against one another, it has to figure out this and that. And the normal alternative to that is to just use 2D noise and say, I'm at this point, what is my noise here? And it says, oh, that's ocean, and then you just work with that. The problem with that is surmountable. So it's kind of just a bummer, because I spent so much time making this, and because if I make any changes to this, we're going to have to do a world reset, and people hate that. But might be time to do it. So I'm gonna look into this, see what's actually really the culprit for taking so much time, and if there's anything I can do to vastly improve that with the system as is. If not, I might be considering reworking some of that. But I'm going to head to lunch. Got my head deep into some of this stuff. I don't think I'm going to be working on crocodiles today. Art, my apologies. But I'm aware of that. And I'm sure you'll remind me, which I appreciate. So we'll be back tomorrow. And hopefully I'll have some... I'll have news one way or another on where I'm going with this stuff. So... thanks for those that stopped by, checked in. Art, be kind to the 16-year-old kids. They don't know what they're doing. Even if they know how to punch and kick. But you're older than me, you know what I'm talking about.